Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Everyone's Got Shit. As promised today, you will not just be listening to my beautiful, jazzy, elegant voice. And you know what? I don't know if that's good for you, but you decide. But today I have on a very, very special guest, the beautiful, the wonderful, the elegant, the just most inspiring woman in my life, and on most days, my favorite person in the entire world, my mother, Miss Audette.
Hello. Most days? Not every day?
Well, there's times when...
You have bad days with me?
Well, you're just not always the sweetest, but most times.
And your voice isn't always jazzy.
I disagree, but you know what? Whatever.
It's whatever you hear.
Exactly. It's just however I hear it in my head, and it sounds pretty good.
That's right. Whatever you hear.
It sounds pretty good. Well, remember, you posted me singing one time, and I get a lot of compliments.
Oh, wow.
So maybe after this podcast, I'll quit, and I'll get in a recording studio.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, maybe someone will see this video and just think, God, she's just made to be a singer.
Maybe she can sing.
Yeah, oh God, if she can talk this well, maybe she can sing this well, too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on from my beautiful voice.
Okay.
And let's talk about you, Mom.
Well,
I'm so excited to talk about you.
That.
Well, today what we're going to be talking about on this second episode of Everyone's Got Shit is actually very similar to my first episode, because we are going to be talking about the same three people that we both lost, but for my mom, it was a completely different relationship. Although it was the same three individuals, for me it was my grandpa, my grandma, and my dad, and for you it was your dad, your mom, and your husband / father of your children. And that puts you in a completely different position that, I don't understand. And I think that will create a nice perspective for people.
I don't understand yours.
That is true, just as you don't understand mine. But I think it will, create a very inspiring and different perspective for those listening, those who have maybe lost a husband or, have lost parents, but they're at a more age-appropriate time in their life to lose a parent. But so should we just dive on in?
Go
Start
for
talking
it.
about it?
Go for it.
All right, Mom. Do you need a Diet Coke?
I've got one.
Okay, it's just on the floor. All right,
Yes,
you're right. Thank God. I didn't want you to get thirsty.
I know.
That would
Might
have been
lose
bad.
it.
I would have had to grab you a water on the side here.
Withdrawals.
Yeah. We'd have
Before
to
the broadcast is over.
Stop the episode. Okay, well, what I think we should start first, talking about first, is something that I didn't dive too heavily into in my episode because I thought it was something more appropriate for you to talk about. And that is Papa's Alzheimer's. And I wanted to talk about it more with you because I thought the perspective of watching your father go through something like that was just a bit more interesting than your grandpa, because unfortunately just, the cycle of life, you watch your grandparents suffer, they get older, and it doesn't make it any easier, but it's just the way life goes. And so I think as far as Papa's Alzheimer's, when did you first start noticing signs that he was, maybe...
Slipping?
Yeah, he was slipping.
I have to say I did not notice it at first. My mother mentioned it to me and asked if I had noticed that my dad was forgetting things and repeating himself. And once she said that to me, I really started paying attention, and I did notice that he was repeating himself quite a bit, and also that his driving wasn't as good as it used to be, and directions. So those were the first two things that we started watching.
His driving, I forgot about that, got a little scary. Papa always drove with 2 feet, one foot on the brake, 1 foot on the gas.
Yeah.
But then he would go through a fast track and on the freeway and be going 40 miles per hour.
Yeah, and then everyone getting mad at him. He gets so mad at them, they're just whizzing by. They're just driving so fast. They're going, oh my God, no.
Yeah, you can't go too fast, but you can't go too slow. That's almost more dangerous.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have let him drive, now that I think about it.
Yeah, but it was early on.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when you started noticing things, or I guess Grandma pointed it out to you, I talk about, or you actually more so talk about, you go, Alex, you run away from your problems. If it's something that I do need to deal with, but I can kind of run away from a little bit, then I will. Because
you do it in very slow motion.
I usually get it handled, though.
2 years later, I don't know. You're not real quick at
Just figuring out things
Yeah.
that I need to get done.
Yeah.
No, I'm the type that, like, I'll know I have a trip booked for a month, and I'll book it the day before.
Yeah.
But I think I get that from you.
Okay, that part, but...
But as like actually problems and having to deal with it, I think we're very different. Whereas, like, if you have something on your mind, on your chest, you need to say it.
Right.
You can't relax until you've said it.
Right.
So when it came to Papa's Alzheimer's, and that was something probably very scary, how did you handle it? Did you run away from it, or, stick to your typical?
No, I immediately dove into the internet and Google and just wanted to see all the signs, symptoms, what you could do, if anything. And Maria Shriver had published a lot on it, so I read a lot of things that she had published because I'm pretty sure her dad died of Alzheimer's also. And just started trying to figure out what we could do to make his life easier or to, help him along.
Do you think you initially thought, like it's Alzheimer's, or were there other things that we had hoped for, something less severe?
Once I started reading about it, I pretty much knew it was Alzheimer's. It was progressing, I think, pretty quickly, and I think if it's just dementia, it might be a little slower, and this just seemed to be going pretty quick, I thought.
In the times of noticing Papa going through this, what was the hardest part for you?
The hardest part to me was that he was always super confident, super, I don't know the word I'm looking for, not aggressive, but just when he had to do something, he did it, and he never, like you. He just did it. He was direct and took care of it right away. And to see him struggling with the bill, that was always really sad because he was always a really good tipper, especially when the service was good, and he couldn't figure all of that out. I don't even think he realized that people were tipped after a while, so eventually we obviously had to take that away from him, and that was, because some of his favorite waitresses, because he always went to the same restaurants over and over, and to not tip them would be, a little bit sad for them. But, I mean, everyone probably knew what was going on, but still that was, and like I said, his driving, directions, he was always so confident in everything. He was just really the rock of the family, someone you could go to for anything and everything, and you knew it would get accomplished by him, and it would happen very quickly.
Yeah.
I remember when I got engaged to your dad, he left the house, we were in the desert, and he went over to the club and said, "How's October 12th?" And we're like, "Oh, okay, sure."
Works.
So that's just how he was. He got things done.
Little different than your son's wedding that's coming up.
Yeah,
I don't think you walked on over to the venue and said,
no, that was...
how does this day work for you?
Yeah. No, they picked all that out, so I'm just
times have changed.
A bystander.
But yeah, it was hard too because Papa, even though he was forgetting, he still didn't like the help. You could tell he was getting flustered.
Yeah, he would pretend a lot, he knew you if he didn't, or he was really good. It's so weird, like, they're losing their memory and basically their mind, but that they know to pretend that they're not. I just find that very interesting.
Yeah, I think especially in the beginning when he knew what was going on, God, I think that was the hardest part.
It was so hard to just, to know that he knew he was failing. And I'm sure he was scared to death, as we were all so scared for him. And, that was just devastating to watch someone of his capabilities until this disease happened to him. And I don't know. I mean, for any family, I'm sure it's devastating.
Yeah.
And just like my mom would, say that she saw him crying or something. And I never in my life saw my dad cry. So I don't know. It just breaks my heart to even think about it.
Yeah. It's horrible to think about, especially, I mean, for anybody to forget like your life and your children and your grandchildren, but also he just had such an accomplished life and he really built himself up.
Yeah,
it came from so little and made
right,
such a great life out of it. So then, about 2 years later, I think we got the official diagnosis.
He was about 80.
Yeah,
right at 80 because I remember they took his license away before we had been back to the doctor for the results. He'd had the MRIs and everything, and so, obviously, we knew when we were going to get the results that it was most likely Alzheimer's. And that was just, heartbreaking for him to...
What was that experience like, being in the room, getting the diagnosis?
Well, it was terrible. I mean, it was I mean, I don't know if interesting is the right word, to learn about exactly what goes on and the hippocampus and, the brain and all these other things. And all these other Alzheimer's can intermix. You can have Lewy bodies, you can have regular, you can have all of them practically at the same time. So little strokes. So a lot goes on in the brain that, we don't understand. And just to watch his face for 2 hours and just take it, I mean, I don't know how to anyway say, just take it like a man and not cry, I mean, I don't know. It was just, my heart was breaking. I had a pit in my stomach, but he just took it, and then we left. And the doctor, I thought, had a terrible delivery. He knew what he was talking about, but he was extremely insensitive and condescending. And that just broke my heart to listen to him give my dad the diagnosis in such a insensitive way.
Yeah.
So.
So once you got the official diagnosis, we knew what it was. There was no more hope of maybe it's water on the brain, maybe it's just a not easier form, but of dementia. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did that change anything for you? Like the way you looked at it, what you did, the way you looked at Papa?
Well, he was confused a lot, and he just needed more care, more attention. Me or anyone driving him more. Well, obviously, we had to drive him because his license was taken away. Realizing what I had read is when they forget someone, don't tell them they remember that. Oh, you remember that, George. Oh, you can do that. No, they cannot do it. They do not remember them, and I know that for my mother, that was hard for her to comprehend. Obviously, she'd been married to him for almost 65 years, but she would say, "Oh, George, you know them," but he didn't, So in everything I read, it's like, don't tell them that you knew them. Just go along with it, and because it is what it is at that point. They have lost that part of their memory.
Yeah.
So I just I let him tell stories, and mm-hmm. Once he was past the stage of where I mean, I don't really know if you know what's happening to you later on, but things would go on in his mind that he believed he went to Park City skiing that day, or he'd played golf with Arnold Palmer, or, I mean, baseball with someone, or the Lakers, or anything. He was having a good life inside of his head at that point. So that was actually, even though they're going downhill, it's a little more comforting to know that they don't know that they're losing their mind.
Yeah, it's easier to hear and laugh at those stories than it was to watch him be frustrated because he couldn't sign his name.
Yeah.
That was that stage of him kind of having an idea of what was going on was gut-wrenching. And
I'm sure inside as a person dealing with it, I'm sure you're very frightened and scared and confused.
Yeah.
So.
As yourself, for you as his daughter, and then maybe the rest of your family, dad, your kids, or just even the community, how did you see, did certain people step up in different ways? Did you feel you always feel connected, but once you kind of realize that there's a clock, did you see things change in the relationships?
Well, when you realize there's a clock, you definitely try to see them more than you would. I mean, I always saw my parents a lot, but I would try more to they always had certain dinner places they went to on each night with certain people. And I never wanted them to cancel, so I would just show up and, join them for dinner and just try to see him as much as I could. Because, he got to the point where he was telling the same stories over and over. And he had some friends that were so great. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times he must have told the same story over and over. But some friends were just willing to listen, and I'm sure others just probably avoided him and, walked the other way because, it is hard. It's very hard and frustrating. So.
Yeah. No, it is hard, and none of us. I would get flustered sometimes, and I feel bad. It's hard. It's
no, it is. It is hard, and it's you have to try to be very patient. And for me, I was so sad for him because all he'd ever done is work his whole life. From the time he was in high school, 12 hours a day. Definitely after high school, 12 hours a day, work. And then he had 7 or 8 back surgeries and loved golf. He absolutely loved golf. And it was just something that once all the back surgeries, he couldn't play like he wanted to. And so it was basically work, back surgeries, and then into Alzheimer's. And not saying he didn't have a good life in between. I mean, he was always there for the kids and loved watching all of your games and going to everything. But he also, there wasn't a lot in between.
Yeah.
But I think that was maybe because he also really didn't enjoy it. He enjoyed things, but not, he enjoyed certain vacations and not others.
Yeah. Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Hawaii and Lake Tahoe, wherever
Yes.
there was a golf course, or maybe if he went to Greenbrier. He loved golf, so anywhere he went there. But like if you took him to Europe or something, he was, where's the ice? Why don't you give ice? And why is the wine hot? And, why is the elevator so small? And why is it so slow? And why would you ever trust anything that a certain place built? And, or I should say a certain, nationality. That he would be like, they're not good builders, only the Swiss can build. I don't know. He was pretty funny, but anyway.
Yeah, he, like when you guys were in Italy, and he didn't care to see the Statue of David.
Yes, and then we were on this tour, and we were all going to see the Statue of David, and he was not having any of it. There was a long line. It was hot out, and he said, I am not going to wait in that goddamn line to see a statue. And he went and had a drink with the tour guide. So it worked out well, but that was just a little bit of his personality. Definitely. Very type A personality.
Yes, very type A, and everything started with goddamn.
Yes, but in a I don't know how to, not a sweet way, but in a
Goddamn.
Really, he meant it in a, I don't know, he'd be angry, but he meant it in a way that, yes, he was upset, but he was always there for you.
Yeah.
Willing to do anything for you. But you just might have to endure a few goddams.
Yeah.
So,
that's okay. You know, Papa was worth it.
Yeah.
But no, he was pretty funny. I definitely didn't enjoy, the scenery of things.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
a beautiful golf course.
Yes, that's true. Yes, East Coast tour with my mother driving, and the leaves were falling and changing, and he was sleeping, and my mom was like, George, wake up. Wake up, George. Wake up. And he did not want to wake up, but he finally woke up, and she said, George, you need to be looking at the leaves. And he says, Bonnie, you've seen one goddamn leaf. You've seen them all. So, in a nutshell, that was kind of my dad. But inside the cranky exterior, he was a very nice, giving teddy bear.
Yeah.
Not near as strong as he appeared, at least with his family. Mm-hmm. I'm sure in the work world and all of those things, he was a little tougher than we knew, but
Yeah.
he loved to work, and he was a workaholic, and that's all he talked about when he had Alzheimer's. So I realized that those 12-hour days were probably enjoyment for him, and he absolutely loved working and building a company, and it was a lumber company, and he looked at lumber like I would look at a diamond ring. So, everybody sees things differently, and
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and his happened to be lumber. So, that I think maybe I just felt better about his life after realizing a few things, watching him with Alzheimer's, because you can actually learn through people, I don't know, that are dying or struggling, or
Yeah.
I think you can learn a lot if you, listen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, and I'm sure that there's people that, be like, oh God, I've heard the Champion Lumber story 5 times this week. I don't think I can do another. But I mean, the amount of times I got to tell you, the cats
are having a fight.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
interesting. Oh my Lord.
This is so intense. Oh my God.
Wow.
That was a lot.
Yeah, who was that?
It was Champ and Bootsy.
Oh, well, a little interruption to this podcast.
Oh, now we got Harley joining.
Too bad we can't go to commercial.
Yeah, too bad we can't go to commercial. Oh.
Wow.
This is intense.
What has gone wrong with the cats?
I think that they're just stressed out about the podcast.
Do you think that's really irritating them a
I
little bit?
think it might be irritating them. I'm not sure. But, we're going to let them do their thing. It looks like they're
because
settling down.
we actually have inherited the
Oh,
cat
yes.
that my dad spent a lot of time with in his days when he could no longer go to the office and stay home in the chair with the cat. So
Yeah, he but wasn't very happy because you got that cat for Grandma for her 80th
yes, I did.
birthday.
She loved cats. And my father was very upset at that moment and wanted to know who was going to take care of that goddamn cat. And it's not like we ever expected him to take care of the cat if he did or didn't have Alzheimer's. But anyway, the cat ended up being, his best friend in his time of illness and loved that cat. But we now have the cat, so.
Yes, we do.
And the cat is fighting with our other cat. So anyway.
No, Harley wasn't too involved. I gotta say, he was just kind of an observer.
Oh, was he just an observer?
It was more Champ and Bootsy. It was more our cats.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Harley.
You know, Harley's kind of like Papa. He has that tough exterior.
Yeah.
You're a little, nervous around him, but then he's like a teddy bear inside.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah, that's very true.
But no, it was funny. I remember I'd be over there, I'd be like, Harley will just come up in my chair and sit on my lap. Harley boy. He'd go like, he like try to whisper.
Did Harley come when he did
No.
that?
Harley would either like look and then walk away, or he'd scurry the other direction, or he wouldn't even be in the area.
Yeah. Well, at least he thought Harley was.
Yeah. No, but I think he actually would. I think he got stressed when there was more people around, but when it was just him and Papa, I think they were around each other a lot.
He kept him a lot of company. So
he definitely
that
kept him
was
a lot of company.
The good news of the cat. And like I said, the story ended up to be a happy one. He
Exactly.
liked the cat.
Exactly.
Never had to feed it, never had to clean the box, and everything was good.
But that was like an example of how Papa was, I think, and I think just how like a lot of men and dads are. It's like, that goddamn thing is not staying here or whatever, and then he warmed up to it. And...
Yeah, he was like that a lot.
Yeah, he really was.
It was
like
just
that
like
a
he
lot.
went, okay, sure. Let him say it, and then he'll be over it, and
yeah.
And you always knew he said it out of love, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
it was full of love.
I would always go back to college about an hour away from where I lived, and he'd be so mad at me because I'd go at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I'd be like, oh, just yell at me. And then I'd get in the car and go, God, if we only had cell phones, I would be fine. I didn't even call it a cell phone because I never heard a cell phone. I said, if we only had phones in a car, he wouldn't have anything to worry about. And I remember going, that would never happen. Kind of like I said, who's ever going to buy books online? Well,
here we
now look at Amazon. So
if only you'd thought of those things and pursued them, you'd be the billionaire.
Obviously, I have no knowledge of what's going to make it and what isn't, because I really missed out on those two things. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going with this.
Let's just say I thank God there's books online, because you are just such an you're an avid buyer. You don't read them.
Yes, I like to buy books, and I don't like to read.
See, that was, I'd say, Papa's biggest concern with you was your spending habits. They were just a little
stupid. I'm going to buy another book, and I'm never going to read it.
Never going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, I bought you this book.
I like to buy dishes, and I never like to cook. I really don't understand myself. But anyway, it's not about me.
Yeah, it's not about you.
It's about my dad. And what else do we want to say about him?
I think I was saying before the cats got in a brawl, but about the Champion Lumber story, I would always have people coming up to me, just your guys' friends or his, and be like, I just sat down with George, and Dad would usually always be with him, whether, Dad would usually pick him up, take him to work, take him to lunch, take him to, like, the Victoria Club bar for, a bite to eat and a drink or something. And, there's always people there. And they would come up to me later on if they'd see me, just, I listened to what an interesting story. Gosh, that's,
the first time.
The first time.
Second, third, fourth time. Mm.
Second, third, and fourth. But, I mean, people would just always... I think it spoke a lot to Papa, because there's a lot of people who wouldn't deal with that. But I think people did love him so much, and they appreciated the man that he was and everything that he'd done for them, that people were willing to sit down. The chef would come out at the Victoria Club and say hello every single time. I just think that it speaks so much to who Papa is, or was.
Yes, even though he had that rough exterior, he was a man of his word.
Yeah.
He was on time.
You didn't get much from him.
I know, I did. Just his direct, and
his directness.
He never was meant anything out of evil or.
No, but he meant every word he said.
He meant every word he said. He felt he could coach any sport, and no one could coach as good as him on any game he was ever watching. He could coach it better than anyone, and he just. I don't know. He was just a good person. He was a good, strong person.
Yeah.
And if he loved you, it was even better.
Yeah. No one better to be, the monarch, the backbone of our family.
Yeah. He loved my son Chase. He loved going to every baseball game and watching him and sitting with all the parents, and everyone got to know him and listen to him yell. And,
He had some good lines.
He had some good lines, I have to say. It's like, wow, where did you come up with that? One time, Chase was getting pitched to, and he didn't swing at it, and the umpire called it a strike, and I remember him yelling in the middle of all the parents, yes, if you are a gopher, it may be a strike, but in this case, and Chase is pretty tall. I think 6'4" or something. I don't know how tall he was then, but he was always pretty tall. So my dad was very angry at that call. So it was very embarrassing to be sitting there, to tell you the truth. But, you know, it was him.
Yeah. So I think just everything with what we've said, I think it's never easy to watch someone go through Alzheimer's, but just especially this person who's so strong, so loving, it's so confident in himself, and then just
always making sure everyone is all right.
Yeah.
Everyone is taken care of. Do you need anything? You could be stranded in the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere, and that you could call him and he would be there to get you. I mean, my mother never filled up her tank until he passed away. So he was just the go-to person.
Yeah.
The go-to guy of the family.
Yeah. So I think it was just really hard when there was that big role reversal of, we were driving him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were kind of not to any extent that he ever did for us, but, we were, Alzheimer's, you kind of go back in time. You kind of.
Yes.
Which was really hard. But then, so he has Alzheimer's. He had it for about 5 years? 6?
Well, we suspected it started like 75. He didn't get diagnosed until he was 80.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he definitely had it before that.
Yeah. And so then October 2019, I'm a freshman in college. You and Dad come and visit me near the end of October at UW, and you tell me that he's been diagnosed with liver cancer.
Yes.
And you can go into, you knew before I did.
At that point, my mother had put him in a home, which, was very difficult for her. But he'd been in a home for about 5 months, and everything was fine. And one day, he kind of felt like he had a cold, a little sniffle, or I don't know. And she took him to the doctor, and that sniffle turned into be liver cancer. And so at the time, we're at Parents' Weekend visiting Alex, and my oldest daughter is FaceTiming us with him in the hospital, saying us, we don't have much time. He doesn't have much time, and we need to figure out, to get back home and see him. So we got back home, and Alex stayed. We need to assess the situation, and it ended up that he went really quick. He went in 8 days, so we got Alex home to see him. I don't know how much more before he passed away.
So you guys probably left. I said goodbye to you guys that Sunday night, and then you flew out Monday, and then I was getting texts because I remember the exact class that I was in, and I knew I had it on Wednesdays. I was getting texts from you, from Taylor, getting calls from, Dad.
Yeah.
It's worse. It's not, it could be a lot sooner. You might want to book a flight out, and then I just I just confirmed, like, okay, and I think I flew out that Thursday, Thursday or that Friday. I can't exactly remember. And then I got home. You picked me up from the airport around noon. We got to Riverside. Thank God everyone made it because we called the whole family. Brooke and Blair. Brooke was in San Diego. Blair was in Newport. Colby and Molly were in LA. Chase was there before I got there. And, oh my God, I think it was because there was so much traffic and like it took people like 3 hours to get there. But everyone made it, and, for me, I remember walking into that room. Papa was in a lot of pain. He couldn't really talk very well. I remember, like, Chase was just bawling.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to watch.
Yes, it was. It was just hard to watch. Even though we'd been watching him fail, it was hard to watch, to know that it's the end, even though if dying or cancer can be a blessing, I guess in this situation, to know that he wasn't going to be in a, not be able to talk or be in a bed and have to be fed, that he would at least leave with some dignity.
Yeah.
And so, because, once you see them in a home, the future is, there's not one. Yeah. All you're doing is regressing. And so I would say in that way, I'm extremely happy that he didn't end up just not knowing any of us, or I mean, he had his moments that he didn't know us, but they came back sometimes. So that he was, still able to do some things.
Yeah, it's hard. Every time you walked into that home, you would just see these people in the living room watching TV all day, carrying like baby dolls and blankets, and there was just no future. There was no what's the word? Not value of life. Yeah, like value of life,
Yeah.
I was very thankful that I remember every time I would go visit with you or with Grandma, with Grandma, hi, Bon Bon. you know, or sometimes hi Bobo, or with me usually I don't think he knew like, oh, that's Alex, that's, you know, my this specific grandchild, but he would always say sweetheart and, you know, had a familiarity there.
We always brought him Haagen-Dazs bars, and I guess before that we didn't mention his White Russians.
Oh my gosh, yes, the sweet tooth really kicked in.
Yes, and he did not have a sweet tooth before he had Alzheimer's, but I think maybe the taste buds get worse and worse, and so you like sweet. And he would drink about 3 White Russians a night, and never really drank before that, just occasionally, and loved them. And I have to say, once I tasted them, I could see why he loved them. They were pretty good, but he... my mother cut him off after a while, and I don't know. I think maybe at that point, why? Yeah. Have as many White Russians as you want. Because then also he lost a lot of weight because that was keeping weight on him because he didn't really like... Okay, now we have a cat. No. This is great. This is also...
This is the perfect studio.
A zoo that we are in. We are filming at the zoo, and we're podcasting or whatever we're doing. But, yeah. So... The White Russians were a good thing. Yeah. But she didn't let him have them anymore.
Yeah, she would cut him off. Well, I always heard that she would tell the club, like if she was doing it at the club and they would bring him, like, I think she would still bring them, but it was...
Maybe one, not, she wouldn't let him have 3 or...
I think there was no alcohol in him
because he
past
wasn't
a certain
eating,
point.
But he didn't, you know, he was a great eater. He loved food more than anyone when he was, regular. I don't know what the word I'm saying. When he did not have Alzheimer's, he loved to eat. But then that kind of disappeared, and he liked the White Russians and the Haagen-Dazs bars.
And ice cream sundaes.
With some
peanuts.
Yes. He got a lot of those, but that really set in, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, anyway, back to like when we would visit. So there was just no value of life, you know, and there was no future. There was no like to get better. Mm-hmm. So like you said, it's like, drink the White Russians, have the ice cream sundaes, just give them the best that we can give them.
And I may be wrong on that. The doctors probably would not agree with me. But, unless there's a cure or you're going to tell me that, you know, he's going to feel better with water.
Who feels better with water?
No one feels better with water. I don't know. I say let them have what they want.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Yeah, so anyway, that's not a prescription or diagnosis.
No,
that's
just our opinion.
That is just our opinion.
Yeah, just our opinion. Anyway. Yeah, just don't get us in trouble for that.
No.
But yeah, so 8 days later, we're all in that room, and then we lost him in the middle of that night.
Well, we'd all stayed till about midnight 1, and then the hospice nurse was with them, and
Dad stayed, remember, for a couple hours longer.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, okay. It was just Dad told us all to go home. Said I'll sit here and stay, because we just didn't want him to be alone in there.
Yeah.
And once everyone, I think, like, I laid with him, said what I needed to say. Yeah. You did.
Yes, that is definitely, there's nothing good about it, but when you have a long death, I guess.
When there's
a lingering disease that's going to eventually take your life, at least you can tell that person everything you've ever wanted to say. Nothing is undone. Yeah. You have a sense of, I did everything I could for that person, with that person, and had a great life with that person. Yeah. There's just no regrets as far as, other than that they had to die of a horrible disease. But as far as your relationship goes, I think it's all, there's closure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that is really helpful.
Definitely helpful. Definitely something that a lot of people don't have. Yeah. As we didn't, as you'll find out.
Yes.
As you'll find out through the suspense of this broadcast.
I know you're just enjoying hearing our voices and just listening to us so much. But okay, so then, but Dad did eventually come home that night, and then you woke me up around 6 a.m.
I got a call around 5 in the morning, but I noticed I missed a call maybe 45 minutes earlier, so it's probably, but at 5 I got the call. Yeah. That he had passed away.
And, I remember you, Taylor and I were, like, sharing a bed, and you... This is the most dysfunctional.
Yes, this is.
Anyway, I remember...
Everyone's got dysfunction.
Yes.
That should be the new title of your podcast.
Nothing's perfect, I know I make it look real perfect.
Maybe a little more expensive equipment next time.
Well, give me the credit card, and I'll get that equipment. But I remember you coming into the room, and you were crying, and that was really hard because I don't see you cry very often. You were like Papa in the way like you never really saw Dad or Papa cry. I wouldn't necessarily see you and Dad cry.
I'm very uncomfortable with crying in front of others.
Yeah, but like this was just, and so like going to like this was a moment that you weren't gonna stop the tears.
Right. Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. The person that's always been there for you.
Yeah.
Is now gone, so that's huge.
Yeah, and so it's like you knew it was coming, but now he's gone. It's over. What was that like morning like for you, going to the home? Just
well, when we got to the home, they had him all dressed in his regular clothes, which was...
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I never knew that.
He was, most of the time he was in sweats, but now they had him in like nice pants and a nice shirt. So it was, I don't know how it was kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
To see that suddenly he was dressed like he used to dress when he'd go to work. So that was...
Or work out.
Or work out.
That to work out, too.
That's right. There was a time that he was working out in his dress shoes because that's how he would go. My husband would take him to work out with him, and he'd go in his dress shoes. But, anyway, so you see him, and I don't even know what to say. What did I feel? I felt, it didn't seem real. Yeah. Just seemed like if I stayed in the room longer, he was still there. So I stayed in the room for a really long time. And I don't know what I was thinking. I just needed to be in the room with him, even though he wasn't really there. But it was just, I guess it was comforting.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. Who else? I don't think you wanted to stay in there.
No, I never went in the room. You did. Corey did,
Corey was unbelievable.
Yeah.
My niece's husband. He was just very, some people are just very comforting during that time. And he was very comfortable being in there. But he wasn't in the way or intrusive. He was just someone to be there and supportive. And I didn't feel uncomfortable with him there at all. He was quite comforting. And I mean, that says a lot for someone that they could do that because it's not easy. Yeah,
especially, and it's I mean, he's, family now, absolutely.
Yes,
but,
he is.
Yeah.
But it just was, they weren't even married then, were they?
2009, yes, they were.
Oh, yeah, they were. They just got married.
They just got married.
Yeah. But anyway, he was great support.
Yeah. Which is, for you, it's interesting, you and when we'll talk about with Grandma, you go in there and you see them. For me, I think I tried because I wanted to hold his hand one more time, and I think I kind of looked away and held his hand, but I don't want that image of them. I always want to try.
Completely understandable. Yeah. Completely understandable.
But it's just, I think it's interesting how it's some people need that and you need that, and for me, it's almost like I can't even have that. It just scares me.
Well, I think when I was younger, I didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't like that.
Yeah.
Well, no one likes it, but I don't know why. Yeah. I have no idea what kept me in there. I just can't even say. But I was fine being in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, sad, but it was fine to just be with him.
Mm-hmm. And then,
first time he wasn't cussing me out.
Yeah. Kidding. Oh, he probably was. Just, from somewhere
Get
else.
out of here, Bo.
Get out of here, Bo. God damn it, I don't even like that shirt.
Yeah.
But, and we've talked about in such extent how incredible Papa was and the influence that he had on everyone around him, family or not family. But very giving. But what surprised you most about how other people saw him?
Well, this was one when he was still alive. We were at one of our favorite restaurants in Palm Desert called Alberto's. Went there all the time. It was a little Italian restaurant. He always had to sit where this waiter, Den, was. And Den was from Kosovo, and my dad loved him. He was always a great waiter, but, he came up to us one time, and, not to me, but to my dad, and started thanking him for the money he had given him to go back to Kosovo and see his family, and just how thankful he was. And we had no idea that my dad had given Den money, and it was something really nice to see and be around when he was getting thanked, how much it meant to someone. You don't know how much a little bit of money can really help someone out. And like I said, if my dad liked you, he would do anything for you. And he never expected anything in return because it was just, he wanted to do it for you.
It was truly the goodness of his heart.
He didn't expect to be paid back. He's probably more surprised if you got paid back than if he didn't. And yeah, he just loved to give.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And he was the best in the way of he didn't care. He didn't want anyone to know that he gave, and he didn't want anything in return. He was just, it was fully because he wanted to, and he loved you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were several people he did that to. Some I know about, some I'm sure I don't, but
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Oh, yeah, you know. Very well. Me too.
He helped me out a lot of times.
Very true. But yeah, no, to be on the end of that, his granddaughter, obviously, he was anything to make us happy. He was there. At every...
I mean, yeah, you were definitely on the end of two spectrums. One, you could come home from college and gain the freshman 20, and he would definitely let you know, like, you needed to lose the weight, and you were like, yeah, I know. And like I said, it didn't bother me because I knew it. I knew I needed to lose the weight, but I knew that he was doing it because he knew it was good. Healthier, I guess.
I think the best, one of my favorite stories is when an infomercial came on, something about hair at like 2 a.m. And he told Taylor about it. He said, Taylor, I think that you should really use this product that I saw in an infomercial at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I think Taylor has that ingrained in her memory, is from what I remember.
Oh, yes, she does. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he was definitely, or, he had way with words, like, any two-way mirrors at that college, Bo? Because, you're not looking so good from behind. Anyway.
He was a poet.
Yeah, he just definitely, he had things that he said that now that you look back, were pretty unbelievable. When you're at the time, it was like, okay,
yeah, I was like, all right,
give it to me.
Yeah. I'll take it. Yeah, that is something you got from him. It's that like,
oh god,
it's that like bit that's on your mind that you have to say it. You're like, not like like you don't talk about behind people's backs and like, oh, this person needs to like whatever. Like, no, you're gonna, if you think I need to change something, you are going to directly tell me that I need to change it. And what's annoying is I'm not like you were like,
you don't take it well.
Yeah, no, I don't take it well.
No.
But you're always right. And it's so annoying. And whether I realize it that day or even a year down the line, it's like, God, she was right. And it's so annoying. But you be honored. You got that from Papa.
Oh, okay.
But you're also a teddy bear inside. And you will do anything for the people that you love. You're a very good friend and
I
mother.
hope so, but yeah,
and just a doting one.
Not so good, but anyway.
Anyway, something that always stuck out with me was actually Nick Goldware, one of your guys' good friends, but also is really good friends with Papa. Mm-hmm. I just remember at the memorial, he came up and he told me, like in tears, he goes, I hope, because I spoke at the memorial, and he said, I just hope that my grandkids talk about me one day the way that you talk about your Papa. And that's just something that always stuck out to me.
That's true. People did come up and say, oh, makes me want to be a better grandparent, makes me want to be more involved in my kids' lives. And yeah, it definitely, I think you speaking touched a lot of people in the way, because not everyone, obviously sees them the way we saw them.
Yeah. But,
they just didn't. I think a lot of people in the community.
Yeah.
As you, in your first podcast, it's a small community and saw him and everything, and coaching everyone. Telling everybody
what they were doing wrong.
Yeah, you did the wrong stroke, or you didn't breathe, or I'm like, do you know how to swim?
Yeah, I know.
I think he did, but he sure knew how to coach if he didn't.
Yeah, even diving. Get that pike a little bit tighter,
diving.
Alex. Yeah. Okay,
and
Papa.
If he didn't like the way they judged you, he was so mad.
Yeah, he did not like that.
Right.
But he definitely had his opinion.
I think the thing with him, because he was always fair, and when he felt people were not fair, he was very, very upset. Very upset.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for him.
Definitely.
So that was a little bit about Papa.
Yes, he left a nice legacy.
Oh, an incredible legacy, and
miss him every day.
Miss him every single day. He's one of the most, inspirational men I've known, and that was in my life, and I was very, very lucky. But then I think before Grandma's, actual passing, I think it's important to talk about we had a little bit less of a year in between, and a lot happened because we lost Papa in October, and like you said, they were together since they were 14 years old.
Right.
And I think it's hard to put yourself in those shoes of losing someone who has been part of 90% of your life. And
I remember her saying the hardest thing she ever did was put him in a home, and I remember thinking, why? I mean, That was dumb on my part, obviously, because she didn't like caretakers in her house.
Yeah.
And so she felt the best thing was to put him in a home. And I guess I don't know. I was really hard on her, and I should have been, I think at the time, more sensitive to that.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to think we were just mainly thinking about Papa, and you need to think about, the spouse in that situation too.
But it's just so hard because they're dead weight. They're, there's so much going on that you have to attend to, and it's very hard on the spouse, especially when they're, the same age.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was, difficult.
So then we had some time, but then March of 2020, as everyone knows, COVID hit. And well, something about that a lot of people don't know about Grandma Bonnie is her depression.
Right.
She suffered from depression, but never ever let it stop her from doing anything. She was at golf every Tuesday, Friday, at lunch, every scheduled lunch and dinner that she had.
Right.
Because her whole philosophy was, get out of bed, put one foot in front of the other.
That was her way of dealing with it. You get out of bed. You never stay in bed. And I don't think she ever stayed in bed. I don't remember her ever staying in bed. You get out of bed and you get on with the day, because
you get ready every day. Put on a pair of heels.
Yeah, and I think that was why she always had dates made with her friends, because that would keep her accountable, that she would have to show up, and she knew, I think, that she was better. When you're out to lunch or with other people and you're not dwelling on your depression, it's better for you.
Yeah.
And she must have known that, because I don't know how she knew that, or how she knew not to stay in bed, because it sounded like some days it might have been hard to get out. But we didn't know that much about it, to be honest, until she got older. She kept it from us.
Yeah, she definitely kept it from us, and she opened up to me about it in a couple conversations that we would have. But never too much in detail. But I think that's why, so, on top of you just losing your husband, who you've, again, been with since you were 14, then COVID hits, and now her entire, not just her social life, but her entire life is shut down.
Yes, she's lost her husband, and she's supposed to, she's supposed to quarantine for 15 days till we, lower the curve, or
flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve. It was flatten the curve till we flatten the curve. And for someone that doesn't like to be alone, it would have killed her. Maybe that's part of what happened. But anyway, it would have killed her. Yeah. So she never even made us think about it.
No.
We had parties.
Birthday parties. Kids had kids over. She never asked us not to have anyone over, or she never did not want to come to something we were having. And she always came. Yeah. And we did not protect her. I mean, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't like, wear a mask, I'm coming over. Yeah. She did not want to participate in that. No.
Good or bad, I mean, some people are going to listen to this and go, that's terrible, but that was her choice and our choice, and she would have rather died than be lonely.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think, and I didn't, I mean, I knew that, again, given, what her life was, of literally scheduled lunch dates at scheduled places.
Every day was scheduled. There was not a day of dinner or lunch that was not scheduled.
And if you yourself, like me or you,
golf.
Didn't go to lunch that day, it's like,
that's she'd always go, what'd you do today, Bo? And I was like, oh crap, I didn't go to lunch, so she's gonna think my day was wasted. And so I would be like, ran some errands, worked out, and cured cancer. No. Yeah. And she'd be like, oh, but you didn't go to lunch. And I'd be like, no, I didn't go to lunch. So she definitely was into connecting and knew what was important for her. Right? I mean, I think that's important for everyone, if you can realize, how important people can be in your life.
Yeah. Well, and when after, we'll get into her passing away, but after she passed away, we would find little notes written in her house, and a lot of them were just lists of, and you could tell it must have been when she was in a worse depressive state, and it would literally say things that I am thankful for, reasons to be happy, and it was majority people, a husband to love, 2 daughters, 6 grandkids, and she would list every one of us out, every friend that she had, golf on Tuesday and Friday, every one of them, whether it was a person or it was just a thing that she was doing, was all about connection. And I just, again, like you said, there's people who listen, and everyone handles this their own way, but with Grandma, I just, I could not be around her. It just,
Yeah.
and she could not be more. She
No.
could not be around us.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. I mean, like I said, they scheduled dates. Her friends, they scheduled
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a week to meet at someone's house for lunch, and because they were all getting older and they were all extremely lonely. They needed to see, each other just to, have a reason. To go on. My mom didn't watch TV really. She read books, but she could not have lived not seeing anyone.
Yeah.
So
then, end of September, right before her 85th birthday, Grandma suddenly passes away.
Well, first we had the engagement.
Oh, yes. So first, well, you can go into that. Colby gets engaged. My brother, your oldest son.
Yes, he gets engaged, and he wants us all to show up to Venice for his engagement. And it was windy and a little chilly, and he did it way out on the beach, about as close to the ocean. And my mother is in heels, of course. She may have taken them off to walk. I can't really remember. And I go, and if you know me, I hate to be cold. And so I'm cold, and I'm walking, and I'm like, really, Colby? I mean, I am bitching all the way. My mother doesn't say a word. She's fine. She's out there. She's happy to see Colby get engaged. Has a little party afterwards in Marina del Rey. Some friends threw for them. She was there. I mean, it looked like the picture of health. Everything was great. And before that, she had had sepsis 3 times. Once, right when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, in the hospital for 3 weeks. And then the summer of 2020, she had it twice and was put in the hospital. And one night, I just happened to show up at her house about 9:30, and she was shaking, and I could just tell she was so sick. And I was like, Mother, what is going on here? I'm fine. I'm going, no, you're not. And I called an ambulance, and she didn't want me to. And the ambulance came, and I just remember it just dawned on me when she left, I couldn't go. She had to go to the hospital by herself. And I just remember thinking, my stomach just having a pit in it, thinking, oh my God, she has to go to the hospital by herself, and we can't even go see her. But she made it out, and then she somehow got it again in August, made it past that, and then she goes to the engagement. And that week, day after the engagement, we left to Lake Tahoe. My husband, Joe, was in a bike riding group, and they wanted to ride around Lake Tahoe. So that was the only week we were gone the entire summer. And then on the way home, I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, Mom. Oh, I didn't call her. I think I texted her. We're coming home. Because she couldn't hear very well. So texting was actually better.
Better option.
And telling her, we're coming home, and her 85th birthday was in 3 days. Let's plan it. What do you want to do? And, blah, blah, blah. She texts back and says, I'm in the hospital, Bo. I feel terrible. I have double pneumonia. I have oxygen on me, and I cannot talk on the phone right now, and I just don't know what's happening here. So here's a woman that's in the hospital for the 3rd time since June. It's now September. And again, she's in there alone. And I am sure at that point it was just, she didn't know what to think. It was just, It was becoming overwhelming. And so, but I remember feeling relieved that it was pneumonia and not sepsis. Dumb on my part, I'm sure. Okay, here we go.
I'm just gonna hold it.
The cheap equipment is falling over again. But anyway, maybe she'll upgrade one day. Anyway, so we're driving home that day, and I tell my daughter Taylor, because she's close by, I go, you have to keep checking on Grandma. She has pneumonia. And there were times that she'd been to the hospital, and they didn't get her out of emergency for 3 or 4 days. So I'm like, Taylor, you have to check on her, because they're not very fast at getting a room. So because where we're driving from is very mountainy, and you don't get a good cell reception. So anyway, at 2:00 that day, Taylor called. I've checked. The nurses said she's doing fine, but now we're wondering if the nurses even knew.
Yeah.
Not it was their fault. They were overwhelmed, but at the same time, what was going on? So I'm like, okay, great. And then at 4:00, I get a call from the hospital. Actually, they called my husband's phone. And I just remember getting a knot in my stomach going, I could kind of see the number. And I'm like, oh my God, I think it's the hospital. And why else would they be calling? Well, they said she had passed away. And I just remember, there is no way that's my mom. The hospital's so overwhelmed that they got the wrong patient. They're like, there's no way that's my mom. And so they said, would you like to come to the hospital? And I said, yes, because I'm going to tell you that you had the wrong patient.
Yeah.
So I think we're about an hour away from the hospital. We get there and they let us in, and sad to say that it's my mother, and still an emergency, never was, moved to ICU or anything like that, still basically intubated. It was out. It wasn't really, it was out, but it was still there. And I couldn't believe it was her. But it was bizarre because even though she'd passed away, she just looked beautiful laying there. I don't know why, but
she always did.
It was just shocking, and we just told her we loved her, and like I said, hopefully she heard us and gathered her things, and just left in a state of shock. And it was. I mean, like I said, sometimes I think that was so naive. Though your mom was almost 85, but I think that I just seen her so strong and get through so many things, and she always looked good. She just always had herself put together, and I thought I was going to have her well into her 90s.
Yeah, we would always say, like, we would joke and say grandma's going to outlive us all, or
yeah,
well into her 90s. I mean, I genuinely thought we had at least 10 more years.
Yeah,
I thought she would be, till I was 30 or something like that. And
yeah, it was just, like I said, I mean, super naive on my part. And people were like, oh, she wanted to be with your dad. And, I'm not saying she didn't, but I didn't get the feeling that she was ready to go by any means.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. The only thing I did think about was I feel like, I mean, like you said, we were more aware when she was in the hospital the other couple of times earlier that year. And so every one of us, was texting her, was calling her, Grandma, we love you. Just,
yeah.
But like you said, no one knew that she was in the hospital. Or I definitely didn't know this last time. And so, like, of course I didn't send her this long text to, like, hang on. And with Grandma, it was like she was always so beautiful on the outside. And she never, even with the depression, even with just everything that was going on in the inside, like, she never wanted us to know.
No, she never looked unhappy. She always had a smile on her face. She never,
Always, I mean, even just always was well-dressed. Always, I had never seen a gray hair on her head. Like, makeup beautifully done, lipstick on right after lunch, like
during lunch, before dessert.
Yeah, before dessert, lipstick was going back on. And so I just think maybe there was something there. She'd been fighting it for so long that.
Well, maybe the heart had been affected by sepsis, and she just didn't tell us. I don't know. We won't know. We had an autopsy done, and it was double pneumonia with that made her heart stop. So
you can. Interpret it. You could, I don't know, think about it all day long.
Yeah.
Like, why she wanted to. It's just sometimes, or it's just it happened. You know?
Right.
And that's really hard. But what was, and I've never really asked you this, so you were about an hour out on that drive, and Dad, you both got the call. Were you panicking? Were you just like, no, that, like, you were definitive in your mind, like, it's Joe, like, it's not her. It's not going to be her.
Yeah. Probably like, screaming maybe a little bit. A little hysterical, I'm sure. Like, this can't be. I mean, no matter, how old you are, I think it's devastating to lose your parents.
Yeah.
And I remember someone telling me when he lost his parents, like, again, no matter, you're suddenly an orphan. It's a strange feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure I was just thinking back, just sick to my stomach, and had to go see her.
Yeah. And of course with, like, you had your own life, a husband and kids and, like, that part. But, like, there was never, like, really distance with you guys. The biggest distance was, like, LA and Riverside. I mean, you went back, and they were always 5 minutes up the road at every one of your events, every one of mine, and all of our siblings. So, like, still such a huge part of your life.
Her and my dad were a huge, my daily life.
Yeah.
I just tried to, touch base almost every day.
Yeah. Going 2 weeks without talking. I don't think I ever went 2 weeks without talking to them, but, like, not even seeing them was even odd.
Yeah. I remember one time my dad, I called him in college, and usually, you're 18, 19, you want more money, and I wanted more money. And kind of a selfish time in your life. And he'd had his partner die, and the son, sort of a tragic thing that happened, and he was having to buy out the other half of the company, and he's like, typical, only time you ever call me, Bo, is when you want money, and, it was led with, of course, goddamn, but, and I remember thinking that, that is terrible. That is just, he's probably right. He is right. And from that day forward, I remembered, I said, you know what, I'm calling him every day just to see how he is. And I tried to live by that because I just thought that was terrible.
Yeah.
And it was me. Mm-hmm. That was terrible.
See, I've tried to live up to you, and I just want to talk to you, when I call you.
Yeah. You've surpassed me. But yeah, so I just, that's something that has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
That he wasn't just someone there to support us. He had feelings, and he was a human being, and
Yeah. So we lose Grandma.
Yeah, and then
And but
we can't have a service.
Yeah, we can't have a service, and that was
September.
No, that was September. It was just, I remember it was hard, and so because of COVID, like, again, I was gone, I was out of state, and I was panicking, and I was so nervous because I was like, if I get COVID and we do find a way to do like a small service within the next week, I can't come home. And gosh, that was just a completely like nerve-wracking time. Yeah. It was really hard not being able to do a service. I think especially after, because with Papa we did it about 2 weeks later, something like that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was so big.
Right.
And just so, just like well done. It was done, I think, how we would want it, and we really honored him. And then just to have this happen not even a year later and not be able to do that with Grandma was like, it was just another part of like Grandma's the whole experience of her death, like losing her suddenly, not being able to say goodbye, the no closure, her being alone. But then like, God, to not, like, we can't even do what we did for Papa, like honor you.
Right.
In this way, have everyone that would show up.
At that point, because we knew what community meant to her, that we were not having a service for her until we could have an open, have the people that she would want, there was no point in doing a small service for her because it just wasn't her.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did that. And then got a lot of cards.
Yeah.
A lot of great sympathy cards. I mean, I never had put much stock into cards until that happened, and what people wrote made me realize that she meant a lot to a lot of people. How she would always stop and ask about the family, how our kids were doing. I mean, I had that written in so many cards. I was like, oh my gosh, what annoyed me about her was actually a blessing to other people. I mean, not so bad, but we would leave somewhere, and it would take her an hour to leave the room because she would stop and say hello to everybody and, chit chat. And I was one that liked just to sneak out without saying goodbye. And I really learned a lot from reading those cards because she made people feel so good. They just, when she talked to you, she was really interested in you. She wasn't interested in talking about herself. She was interested in asking about you. And that just meant so much to so many people that I'm really trying to change my ways. Not that I'm not interested in people. I am interested in people, but just not necessarily right after dinner or something.
You're not stopping at every table.
When I am ready to go home, Yeah.
But
she really, really, and, she was just always smiling. And I've told Alex, I read this quote one time, when you call someone, you want to know that they're smiling on the other end when they answer the phone and they hear it's you. And I thought, oh my God, that was my mother. That was never called her, and she acted like, why are you calling me, or put out. And I was like, and I realized that is such a great thing, because there's so many people you call and they answer the phone grumpy and you just want to hang up. Like, oh, I don't think they want to talk. But she never, ever, ever acted that way. So definitely another learning curve for me. I'm a slow learner.
No, but I could literally hear it in my head. Her voice like, hello. It was like, hello.
How you doing?
And even her voicemail, because, you very often got her voicemail, not because she didn't want to talk, but because she could not hear her phone.
Yeah, she couldn't hear her phone.
And it's just, hi, you've reached Bonnie. I am so sorry I couldn't make it. It was just so, like, calming. Like,
yes, it was just...
She felt genuinely bad she couldn't pick up the phone.
Yeah, I mean, she was happy to get phone calls.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, everyone's sometimes, you know, it depends.
Yeah, no, but like you said, it didn't matter who she was talking to.
Yeah, she was just always nice.
Yeah.
You could be a salesperson,
Mm-hmm.
you know, always nice, so...
Yeah. Picking up the phone. She's still learning. We all are. I'm not great at it.
We're still learning
Yeah.
instead of, what do I say to you kids? I don't
Hello?
know. No.
Or just like she'll call. It's more you calling us, and you know, if we don't, the once in a while we won't pick up. And I get a voicemail, and I was like, I would bet $1 million I can tell you what this voicemail is going to say from my mother. Alex, it's your mother. Call me. Really? I did not realize. Or I'll get one text that I don't respond to, or maybe a missed call. All caps. Hello? That was probably loud in people's ear. Exclamation point, question mark. Just like, call me. What are you doing? But you know, I always read it like a grandma would pick up. Hello?
Oh, good for you. I'm
Hello,
glad
Alex,
to hear that.
call me. What are you
So
doing?
glad to hear that. Okay. Yeah.
It's so rude that you're not answering my calls right now.
Yeah. So definitely working on a few things.
Definitely working on a few
So
things.
that was nice to
You're getting sweeter.
see that she touched so many people.
She did touch so many people, and this is funny. And I just remembered this story. I don't know, you probably remember this, but do you remember that one time? So Grandma had a friend, Joe Horde, and this is gonna be, if like Gretchen and some of her friends see this is gonna be the first time they probably hear this story. Are gonna be mortified. But remember that one group chat that they created, and they accidentally added Dad Joe
yeah.
Audette
Yes,
instead of
yes.
Joe Horde.
Yeah.
And they were texting about, like, for some reason, being in bikinis. They were being funny and laughing, but it was like, ooh, I just thought, if I were on the beach right now in my bikini and my belly hanging over, and I just remember my dad reading these texts, being like, oh my God.
That's right.
It was just so, it's like, she was just so, like, even at 85, she had group chats. Like, they were.
He should have just chimed in.
I think he should be like, oh, you ladies would look great. I think we told him to, and he was like, no.
Yeah.
But God, that was funny. I just, it speaks, she had so many friends, and they were fun, and.
Mm-hmm. And she was definitely the planner.
She was the planner.
And you find out now that we'll go to lunch with her friends occasionally just to see them, and you realize that she's really missed because she was a big planner, which I guess I knew a lot, but I didn't.
But once it's
I was annoyed by all of her planning.
It's like it didn't matter if we had something on Wednesday. She was going to Backstreet for lunch. You know, she had that planned.
Yeah, so she was a real planner where I'm just, it depends how the day hits me. And what was that?
That was your computer.
Oh, okay.
Just another interruption.
So anyway, live and learn, as Papa would say.
Oh, Papa, that was Papa's favorite quote.
Yes.
Live and learn.
You can learn even after a person is gone.
Yes, and I think even more so because you see what's lost. And I remember talking to Trip Horde, and his mom is one of Grandma's good friends for a very long time, and I was just asking how the ladies were doing, how Joe was doing, and he was like, it's been really hard since your grandma passed. I mean, she was the one that really got them together.
Yes.
Romano's on Tuesday, Backstreet on Wednesday. It's just, and I think it was just a lot of it was, probably her depression, needing to see people, and she just needed connection.
So her depression was actually good for others.
Yeah. It was really good for others.
I mean, you never know why certain people have certain things, but with her depression wanting to constantly connected a lot of people.
That's for sure.
Which, you always got to love a connector, right?
Yes, and I think you and I, but we are not I mean, we connect with people 100%, but we are not.
But we like to be connected through other people.
Yes, it's like, oh, you're planning lunch? Great, I'll be there.
Yeah, you got to love Kevin Kelly. The guy is always connecting, and he always has great friends, and you're always happy to meet them. But I'm always concerned about, why is Bo introducing me to this weirdo? You know what I mean? I always think they're going to be like, I don't want to meet your friends, or whatever. I don't know. I hate that I'm that way, but
yeah, me too.
Because everyone loves to be, I think. Not everyone.
Not everyone, but most people, I think most people like to, hang out with people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you can introduce people and, hope they become friends.
Think about all the amount of people, especially in your life, with the amount of different, you have college and then your kids and how you've met people, like, one of your really good friends, well, I met this person through this person. And it's like, now it's one of your really good friends. Like, you never know where that's going to lead.
Right, like how much you can meet just through your kids. From different. I would choose the teams if do I like these parents on the
Alex, you're not playing this.
Not that I have to sit here for an hour. But it's just, if you're open to it, not everyone's open to it, and that's fine. Another thing I need to work on is connecting others.
I think you're learning a lot about yourself in this podcast.
I feel like I'm in therapy in this podcast.
That is
what is happening. I'm in therapy.
See, that's what I was thinking. I was like, not everyone wants to go to therapy. Not everyone, can pay for therapy. And it's like, this is free. This is free. You can just listen. This
cheap equipment that you got.
It's not free for me. And maybe you could pitch in. Give me a stand that'll stand up. God, I'm just...
Sure.
This is therapy for you, and I just am getting, wrecked over here.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's all great. I've never been on a podcast before, so this could be high standard stuff.
It's not. I googled how
to be the best Amazon sells.
I googled how to do this podcast the cheapest way possible. So it is not the highest equipment, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Well, the one thing about Alex and I is we think we love to laugh.
We love
at ourselves.
Yes, we do. We think we're the funniest people in the world.
Not many agree, but we try.
Most people agree, especially with you. I genuinely think that's why some people are friends with me. They just love you. They love the stories that I tell about you.
I am a walking disaster. I know that. I am a walking disaster, but anyway.
You are. You're like
that was another thing. My mom was not a walking disaster.
No, you're very different from your parents in that way.
I know. I'm a walking
disaster.
They were
very organized.
I know.
Your room is like hoarder's room.
It's not a hoarder room.
No, it's not a hoarder room.
There's just not enough room in there for my stuff.
But like I read one time, they say, the smartest people are very disorganized.
Oh, okay.
Because...
I'm not sure I believe that, but I'll go with it. It sounds good. It makes me
I don't remember what it said.
I'm so smart I can't clean my room.
Exactly. You have better things to do.
So smart I was going to not use the trash can.
You have more important things to think about than, picking the TikToks off the ground.
A lot of things going through my brain other than cleaning my room, right?
You are a walking disaster. The amount of times we've been like on a walk or on the boardwalk, Mom, there's 20. That just flew out of your pocket. Or you'll just hear like things dropping on the floor and it's just Tic Tacs. It's a box of Tic Tacs.
Got one in my hand.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. I think
Or Dad used to get in bed, but God damn it, Bo, there's Rolos in the bed. So yeah,
my room is my sanctuary.
It's your oasis.
Yes,
it's your own
I just
space.
need bigger clousets, and everything would be fine. But anyway, enough about me.
Yes, enough about you. We'll move on with the podcast. Mm-hmm. So yes, Grandma. Not enough we can say. Both her and Papa, just incredible people.
Yeah, just wish they rubbed off more on me, but otherwise it's good.
They did. Just not organized.
Yeah, no.
But then, unfortunately, we didn't have much time to mourn Grandma because a week later, we lost Dad.
Yes.
Your husband. How long were you and Dad together?
October. Our 35th anniversary would have been October 12th, and he passed away October 4th.
So, you guys were together, before being married 2 years?
2.5 years.
So, like almost 40 years that you were with somebody.
Come on, don't
Okay.
Don't round up like that. Come on, 30s sound better.
37 years.
Yeah.
Well, not add those 3 years.
Yeah, please.
You guys got married very young.
Yeah, very young.
Very young. Very young. Not that young.
No, not really. No.
But yes, so we lost Dad and we lost him. This was like, it's the worst. It's not easy to lose anyone, but this was the worst one because like I'm losing a dad at 19. You're
right.
Losing a husband too soon. And like I always say, like with Papa, we got the closure and we grieved before he even passed because he was declining for so long. With Grandma, there wasn't closure in the death because it was just like I got that phone call and was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And but there was that closure, I guess, and it's like, well, you can at least have in the back of your head, she lived 85 years. She had this great life. She did every cycle, was a grandma, everything. Mm-hmm. Got to go to 2 of her grandkids' weddings, whatever.
Yeah.
But with Dad, it was just like, I explained in the first episode, it was a plane crash. It was very tragic, very traumatic. He was only 60 and Dad was very healthy. He probably had, you never know, but at least 20, 30 years.
I don't know.
You know, there's so much more to do. Like, be at our weddings, be just not even like of course the big stuff, but like the day to day. Just there was so much. You guys had so much more to do.
We needed him to make dinner and
we needed him exactly. He had a lot to do. Let me tell you.
He had to organize the dishwasher. Right?
Yes. So I guess I've explained in the first episode, and if you haven't watched it, go tune into the first episode of Everyone's Got Shit. But what it was like for me, but what I want to hear from you is that day for you, because I didn't even know about it until about 10 p.m. that night. And once I found out, it was done. Mm-hmm. But for you, what was it like?
That day for me was thinking about all of you and, you know, just a knot in my stomach. But I didn't find out as early as I could have that day. Yeah. Your dad had gone to the beach the night before. Taylor and I were supposed to come down, but, you know, we started making cookies or something stupid like that. And so we said, well, we'll just come in the morning. And we did. And I was meeting Meryl to walk. And so I went walking. I had called your dad, and he didn't answer. And he would either, a lot of times, go bike riding. I mean, he'd go flying a lot. And on weekends, he would normally tell me, but he hadn't mentioned flying or anything. So I'm like, okay. But so I go walking, and then I come back. And I'm like, gosh, I don't know why he's still not home. And then I did notice that his bike was in the garage, and obviously his car was gone, so he was not riding his bike. And so I think maybe called again and didn't get an answer. And at some point I went to the refrigerator, and things just felt weird. It's like, why aren't we hearing from him? You know? And I went to the refrigerator and I got a drink of Diet Coke, and something just hit me like, is he flying? And he didn't tell us. And then I don't know, it just came to me. I go, and in my mind, I go, did he die? And then I was and I never liked flying, so I didn't take myself that seriously when I thought that, because I kind of think that every time I get on a plane. So that was not unusual for me to think that. But there was something that I always felt, this is how he would die. And someone once told me it was a premonition. I don't know, but I don't really like having premonitions, if that's a premonition. So not long after, I talked to my daughter Taylor, who was not at the beach yet, and it was about 1:30, and she did give me the news that my son Colby and his fiance they lived in LA, got an alert on their phone, and Joe flew out of Hawthorne that a plane had gone down, and I don't know if they knew the person had died. But at that point, I was just so angry that my son would get this alert on his phone and would have to search to see if it was his father. I mean, I was furious that Joe would be so selfish, careless. I don't know what you want to call it, to not tell us that he went flying, which I think he did that several times, but he always came home. So, you know, we didn't get into it too much, but my heart was just breaking that they're searching for their father. I mean, I just can't even imagine that as a child, to be having to find out if my dad was alive and then have to take it to my mother and the rest of the family. But anyway, so about a half hour later, it was confirmed about 2:00 that it was Joe. And I think I was just in a state of shock. I didn't even know what to do. I was home alone. I was like, well, what do you do in this situation? Because I had never been in that situation. So I called one of Joe's best friends, Scott, and told him the news, and felt really bad about calling them because I think they were on vacation, so I felt terrible. And then I called one other person, my friend Kelly. We'd been friends since we were 18 in college, and she just dropped everything and came over. And I didn't even expect that of her. I couldn't believe that she did that. And she came over and literally sat with us the entire day. She watched my son Chase and Colby and Molly come in, hysterical. I mean, for hours. They were crying, and I think I was staring into space, and I just felt so bad for Kelly sitting there. And I said, Kelly, please, you can go home. You do not have to do this. And she goes, no, I want to stay. And so a lot of anger, definitely a lot of anger. And I, like Alex, I just couldn't cry. I don't know why. I was just, I don't know what it was. What I was just didn't even know what to do. And like I said, I think the anger was trumping everything for him not telling us that he went flying. I mean, I'd never seen the plane. That's how much I didn't like what he was doing. He knew I didn't like it, so maybe that's why he snuck off and did it. I don't know, but it was definitely something I never wanted my kids to have to go through. And then my older daughter said, I'm going up to Washington and I'm going to go tell Alex. So then I'm just like, no. And then, so my stomach is in a complete knot until the whole time that she has to go up there and tell Alex. Alex was very close with her father. They all were, but Alex was the youngest of 4 and, 6 years between her and the third one. And they just had a really special relationship. And I just could not believe that she was going to have to get this news in her sophomore year of college. And so that's pretty much what was going through my mind. And so you can take it from when Taylor told you, and I'll have a Tic Tac. Sorry.
Need a break there. Tic Tac and a sip of Diet Coke.
Mouth is getting dry from all this talking.
That is like what you think. It's just like replenished. Like, I feel like quenched now that I have a Tic Tac in my mouth. I don't understand that. Yeah, I mean, I've explained like my part of it in the first one and what that was like. And when you talk about like not being able to cry, I kind of thought about it in the way. And I think maybe like my therapist explained it to me kind of. It's like when you get a really bad injury, you break your ankle, you break your leg, like you're not initially in horrible pain. It's because there's so much adrenaline going to that area, to your body's protecting you. And I think it's really the same with your
hair. Might be sorry. This is so bad. This is a serious moment.
Oh my God, it's like an episode of Beverly Hills Hillbillies.
I got hair in my mouth. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Oh my God.
I'll just swallow it.
It's disgusting. The amount you get your hair highlighted, there's probably chemicals that'll kill you.
Probably cat hair. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But I was just saying, I think it's the same with your brain. I think you get that type of overwhelming, like, tragic, traumatic news, and you instantly go into a shock, and your brain's protecting you. Like, I always think about, what if you got that news and you processed it, like, here we are over a year out later, and, like, I'm not really in the numbness, not in the shock, and, like, are more dealing with it. Like, what if that is how you dealt with it, and you fully, like, in that moment, you realize, like, everything you had to do. For you, it was, like, the bills, and you've lost this man that you've been with for the, like, if you just realized everything, like, I genuinely think it would have killed me. Like, I think my heart would have stopped for anxiety and everything else. And I think that's why I couldn't cry. It probably took me about an hour to cry. I think until I saw Jane, like I said, I saw Jane, and I just looked at her, and it was just kind of that first, like, what am I supposed to do without my dad? Like, how am I supposed to go and now deal with this? And also I think I did. I think it was partially a deflection to not think about myself and what I'd have to go through, but also just my empathy. With you, I just always, I don't know, I always get concerned, not concerned with who you are anyway, but I just kept thinking about you, and I was like, oh my God, like, I just would put myself in your position and be like, oh my God, what if this man I've been with for like 37 years was just gone, and you've built this life together, and Champ is about to walk right over here. But anyway, so like that's where, I was, but yeah, like you said, like Dad and I were really, really close. I was basically a boy for the first 10 years of my life. I was Spider-Man every single year in preschool for Halloween, and my favorite shows growing up.
Oh dear.
Oh my God, if you're just listening, Champ is fully just in the camera. Will you grab him?
Yeah. Hey Champ, come here. Anytime you want the cat, they don't come, but okay. Let's get down.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Champy.
But yeah, really close. I slept in his bed till I think I was 10 and kicked you out and made you go sleep in my trundle bed. So yes, it was very hard. But
you were looking for him that day too.
Yes, I was looking for him that day because I needed to do accounting, and I was talking to him for so long that Friday to help me with accounting. I think that every part of it broke my heart, but I remember him saying to me on the phone, like, I know you hate this class, but I'm so happy that you're taking it because I'm probably going to get a call from you at least 3 to 4 times a week. And then you guys, I remember he came home and he was late from work that day, and you guys asked why, and he just said that he was on the phone with me, and he goes, but I would do it every day if I could. And just to like, it was just like it was like a start of another part of our relationship that was already so strong. And then it's just like to lose that.
Well, I remember you had been calling me too because you couldn't.
I was
hold
calling
of him, so
you.
I think I just texted you some lie.
You texted me that you were at lunch and you hadn't seen him, or you at dinner.
Or he'll be him, something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you said said anything of like, oh, I'll have him call you. Like you wouldn't say that, but I'll let you know something, vague like that.
Yeah.
But my God, that was, like I said, you guys were, and I'm so happy that you hid it from me. I seriously can't imagine if I found out the way I found out about Grandma, and like I was a mess then, and I would never want my friends to be in that position to have to like comfort me until someone got to me with like news like that. And that was just a horrible day. And the worst day was the second day for me, because that's when I got home. And I had to see Chase crying on the couch, and Colby and Molly, and just I ran to you, and there was food everywhere, and there was flowers, and we were so thankful. But I was like, the last thing I want to do is eat a chingalinga from El Ranchito, when usually that's the first thing I would run to.
Yeah, no, people were, as we talked about, were amazing. Just the love and outpouring of love for us was overwhelming. It was like people from
everywhere.
Every
part of our lives.
Every part of our lives. NCL to Riverside to here to my sorority sent me, that I'd been out of a long time.
Just a couple of years.
Just 4 years. Sent flowers and dinner, and it got us through it. I mean, it got us through it. I mean, friends and, my walks with Meryl, who I walked with her through her son having brain cancer, was now there for me. It was just a turn of events. And at the time when you're walking with people and you're getting them through things, you're thinking, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to go through this. You really believe, like, I'm never going to go through this. I just feel terrible for you. And then it's like, this is happening to me. It's like it's like a sci-fi movie or something. It's not me.
Yeah, through a lot of it, and especially that first day, I think you said, it feels like when I think back to it, it's like I'm like overhead, or it's like a movie and I'm watching it, and I'm just watching that whole day play out. It's very like hazy, I feel like is the best word for it. Just like this very like somber, like it feels like you're watching this depressing movie. Yeah, almost, and it was horrible.
Yes, it was.
But the people, just like you said, Kelly dropping everything, and it's it's funny that like, because you haven't processed something so big like this, and you're still so used to like what your life has been, and like the other priorities that you have to take care of, and like for you, like you called Kelly and you called Scott, but also you like with Meryl, it was like, I can't walk today. Like for me, I remember I texted my chapter president, and because I flew home on Monday, and we have chapter every Monday, and I was just like, and she was also, just one of my really good friends in the house, and I was just like, I'm so, like, I can't make it to chapter. Like, you'd always have to say,
I know that you're still thinking of your responsibilities. I remember calling Meryl and going, I just want to let you know I can't walk tomorrow because Joe passed away at a plane. And she was like, excuse me? Like, Bo, why are you not hysterical? Why? I go, I don't know. I don't know why I can call you and tell you this. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's no answers. There's just...
It's the oddest feeling. And that's why, I think people watching this who have been through something similar, it almost feels good to hear other people talk about it, because that really helped me. Like, I didn't have many people to talk to just in my age range, because fortunately I don't know many people who have lost a parent so young. But I went to dinner with a guy from high school who had lost a parent while we were in high school. And it was just... He said little things of, how, have you never been able to eat a, enchilada again? He goes, I remember I got so many enchiladas. I was so sick to my stomach when that happened. And, just little things of, can you, things that sound dark, but, can you make dad jokes yet? And it was just, it's kind of refreshing to hear.
Humor helps everything.
It
doesn't mean you're not dying inside or you're not upset, but it definitely, helps everything. And I remember my mom always told me this, so maybe she always said that, keep one foot in front of the other, get out of bed, and no one wants to hear about your problems. Yeah. Especially illness. She goes, don't ever sit there and go on and just talk about your illness. Yeah. And I kind of think that's true. I mean, not that people don't want to hear. I think people probably in my situation probably think I should say more.
Yeah.
I kind of get that feeling, but I'll say more when I feel like I need to say more. But, you know.
It's also hard because it's such a difficult topic, and also...
And some people are comfortable and some people aren't.
Yeah, and I just, like I've said, and we're the same, like, we'd never want to be the one bringing a room down. Like, you know, if you know, we have a plan to go out or to dinner or something, and there's sometimes it just hits me, like, and I just feel it, and
you don't know when it can hit you at the oddest moments.
And I can't drag myself out of it, and so, like, I will back away, be like, you know, I'm not, or I'll deal with it. Like, there have been times that I've luckily, like, have such amazing friends. My friend Ellie Stapleton, if she's watching, we had this whole plan to go out, and like we were dressed up and everything, and I just called her and I was like, I just don't know if I can do it. Like, I just feel so sad, and it's not necessarily because I'm thinking about my dad. It's just, it'll start with like a little sad, and then it'll go into it. And then I was just like, you know, maybe if you come over and I talk about it, maybe it's just I need to release something. She came over, she listened to me like an hour, I cried, like, and I was like, all right, let's go. You know, it's like, I just, like when you say talking about it, you never know who's comfortable with it, and
which I've always been comfortable listening to people, but I don't think that's always the same, and you have to realize that. And like we've talked about, I was in a dinner group, and there was 5 couples, and before Joe, 2 of the other husbands had died, and then Joe died, and they all died within 2 years of each other. 2 suddenly and 1 with illness. And not one is not easier than the other. That's all terrible. Yeah. So, but it was just so bizarre. Out of 5 guys in the group, 3 are gone. So I had those girls, you know, to talk to, and I unfortunately know a lot of widows that have had it worse than I did, and so it's always nice to have a support group like that, and to be able to talk and vent to people that have been through what you've been through. So, I mean, I would definitely say anyone ever goes through this, really, you know, reach out to who you're comfortable talking with, and you'll feel better. Yeah.
And like you've said, for you, like people who've also gone through it, because it's more like, I mean, like anyone who's just feels bad and is just, they are apologize for your loss, and they reach out, like nothing, that's amazing. But sometimes, like for me, you know, 2 of my best friends, their sisters lost their mom really young, and of course, like they were just so upset for me, and they were very close with my dad. Their parents were close with, you know, you guys are friends, so it was also it was a loss for them. But like once it was so nice to kind of talk about it and just like be like, yeah, it sucks. Like, and I remember Woody Dutton, who's their dad, and as you know, I've known him since I was 6 years old, and spent probably too many nights at their house. I'm sure they get tired of me. But I remember him. I saw him about a week after, and I was just bawling my eyes out. And he said, you know, you're a part of this club, and it's a shitty club, and no one wants to ever be a part of it. But once you're grouped with people who understand you in a way that no one else does, and you're a member for life, and just that you're here for each other, be here for each other.
I also think maybe, I mean, if you can, I think you're given sort of a responsibility. Because not right after, but I think 6 months after your dad passed, an NCL person that I was really fond of had reached out to us and brought us dinner, and her husband passed away suddenly. And it was just like, I've got to, you know, I've got to reach out to her. She may, you know, I'm not her best friend. She may not want to talk about it with me, but you have to reach out and let them know you care. Because I think that's super important. And always the people, I mean, a text, a card, anything is great, but when someone calls you, it's like, oh wow, they are really, I don't know, it's just like I had a good amount of friends called me, like Helen Krieger called me. And I don't think I answered because it was like, I just don't think I can pick up the phone right now. But it's just that instant. And it's like, I'm not even going to think about it. Just again, I don't want to diminish anyone. Oh, I sent a text, I feel so bad. No, but just like, I don't even need to think about what to say. I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and just either listen and I remember my friend Maisie she texted me first, but she was like, you call me when you're ready. Because I know you need time. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just, it's just, you know, it's apprehensive to call someone. You have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you pick up the phone and it's without a thought. It's like, I'm going to talk whatever they need to say.
And maybe they won't talk or, you know. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, any of it, anyone, anything you get. I'm not saying one of it.
No,
it's
no,
just
no.
a different feel when.
It's like I put myself. I don't know that I would call. Like I don't know if I could.
There's a few people I have called, but not. I don't know. I just. Unfortunately, there's tragedy in the world, but I think we need to choose to be happy somehow, if you can. I'm not saying everyone can. I'm not saying everyone can get out of bed. Everyone is different, and I think with me, it was just always so scheduled that I got out of bed. I had to work out at 7 a.m. or I was meeting someone to walk, and I like mornings, and I think when you connect first thing in the morning, I just think you don't feel lonely that day. You've had connection, and I don't know. I just think it starts the day off right, if that's possible in your life to do.
It's like that book. What is it like? Make your bed every morning. It's just like it's like how you start your day.
I do, but I did always do that. I didn't just to get any farther. I made my bed and it ended there.
Everything around it was a mess, but the
bed was made.
And the 18 pillows were on that bed.
Yeah, I tell you, no, yeah. So, but I don't know. And another thing I would just say is, I was raised with my mom and dad. When they traveled, you knew everything. You had an itinerary. They called you when they were taking off. They called you when they laid over. They called you when they got there. Yeah. And again, I may have found that annoying at the time, but I knew it was great. You know what I mean? Yeah. It takes away any kind of, like, did they make it safely? I haven't heard from them. Mm-hmm. And your dad was not raised that way. They were raised differently where they didn't really give itineraries so I don't think he felt letting people know was as important as I did. So I can say to anyone out there listening, please call. Especially if you're doing, he did not think his flying was dangerous, even though I said it was all the time. You know what? You don't ever want your kids or you or anyone having to be searching to find if your loved one is alive. I mean, I can't even tell you that, I'm better about it, but there's still parts of me that is angry. I mean, he had a business. He had a lot of things. His brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, they're in the business with him. A lot of things were, people were relying on him. Yeah. And I just, just be responsible and, make a phone call or, even driving. There's car accidents. Just no one wants to get, I got 2 calls that way. It wasn't my mom's fault, really, but I mean, it wasn't her fault. But had I not texted her, I would have known she was in the hospital and I would have gotten a call that she had passed away. So if this podcast does anything, please just let people know where you are if you're on your way somewhere. Yeah. Because, and there's no excuse now with cell phones and different things to not let people know where you are, I mean, I know there's times we don't want everyone to know where we are, but
people who are depending on you to come
I don't
home.
Want someone to know I'm shopping in Nordstrom's, but that's okay. Most likely I'm not going to die in Nordstrom's, but maybe. I'm just saying,
Bags might be too heavy. Might fall on over.
I mean, if you're doing something that is out of town or, involves... I mean, usually we're safe, but there's that time that you're not.
You never know.
I would just like to reach out to people and let people know. Yeah. But,
and getting 2 phone calls like that changes.
Yeah, in a week it changes. I do. I remember one time going by an accident not long after they'd both passed away, and I was pretty sure the person in the motorcycle passed away, and my heart just sank. Like, oh my God, someone is gonna get that call, and I was just.
It's like that empathy. You've been there.
Heartbroken for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my advice. Good or bad?
I was going to ask you, if you give advice to anyone in your situation, what would it be? And I mean, you've given a lot of good advice, but if there's anything...
mainly connecting.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that love you and they want to help in any way they can. And, keep up your friendships.
Yeah.
Don't let valuable people in your life go. Because you'll never know when you need them. I mean, my friend that was in my pledge class in my sorority came and sat at my house all day, Kelly. Mm-hmm. You don't know. You just don't know. My sister and brother-in-law are out making phone calls to find out what's going on too.
Yeah.
But, people are important in our lives. And, I mean, as long as, they're good. People, I mean, I don't know. You just never know when you're going to need somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how do you, and you like I said, your friends from UW, amazing. Fly down.
Yeah.
10 of them. I mean, that to me, I'll just never forget. I thought, you've got some great friends there. And
Yes.
I had so many people that didn't even know them, and I didn't know them, that would comment on what great girls they were. And that is so special.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they just got in the car and drove a half hour. They had to get on an airplane, pay, come down, and, come into a sticky situation.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
And I always, think about, because they were there when I found out, and so they've just been there through every part of it.
Mm-hmm. And their parents reach out to me, some who I've never met, and wrote beautiful letters, notes, and I mean, it's just stuff like that. And I remember someone said, "Bo, save every letter, every note, because one day you'll want to sit down and read them again, and they really mean a lot." And I've gotten a lot of advice, and cards mean a lot more today than I ever knew.
Yeah,
they would.
I got a note or letter or whatever from every girl in my sorority, and that was. I just remember opening the package. I thought it was just something that they were shipping home, because I left a lot of stuff there, and I just opened it, and there was, 120 envelopes in there, and I was just in shock. And again, it goes back to people in your life. I wasn't close to every girl in my sorority, but everyone had something to say, and just something so special just to be a part of it. Not just a sorority, but like National Charity League, high school, just every part of your life.
You just didn't expect.
The woman who is the head of our campus ministry at, the high school I went to.
She met you to walk.
Met me. We walked for about 2 hours, then had dinner for about another hour.
And it was in the middle of COVID, and she was in her 70s, and didn't you guys walk around Bobo Island? We walked around
Bobo Island, and then we sat and had dinner for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, and it was like she was just there for you. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, people are angels on earth. I don't know, because it was... The people that came into our lives was, I don't know. I've never experienced anything like that. And I'll never forget the love and the food. And like I said, I'm the only one that was going to be a fat widow and not lose weight.
From the food train.
I was like, oh my Lord, I'm going to be like way fatter. When most people would think, oh, she's probably not eating. Oh yeah, I was.
No, I'm having a casserole tonight. My 8th casserole this week.
But it was all good.
It was delicious.
It was all so good and it went on for a really long time.
Oh, that food train! That was a long train.
Yeah, thanks to Kelly. But anyway, better move on to the next thing.
I just think, we've talked about a lot, and you've given a lot of advice. I think just following what I did with everyone a little bit more about just Dad. What stuck out to you? How people thought about Dad, and I think it's interesting. I think people. With Papa and Grandma, it's pretty expected, like, what they would say, I think, because of the impact they had on people. But, like, I think I realized more after Dad was gone the actual impact that he had on people. Because he was more quiet.
Yeah, he was definitely quieter, and you didn't know until you received notes from men. And, men aren't usually that, but some of the notes I received were incredible. Yeah. I mean, I was like, wow, Joe meant that to, because... They're not like home talking on the phone like women are. Yeah. Maybe he did at work more, but definitely I found out that he meant a lot to a lot of people at work, and golf and bike riding and all the little things he liked to do. Got some nice cards.
I've never seen so many grown men cry. I mean, Scott, like we said, his best friend called me crying. Just the memorial, we did a whole video, and people could send in like something about Joe, or same with Bonnie, we combined the memorials. But just with Dad, I mean, the amount of people at work and started crying as they were telling the stories, and it was just like, it's just, I don't know, one of those experiences where you're not trying to hide like any part of yourself, like you were just so broken that this person is gone because of the impact that they had on your life.
Well, I think so many people too were shocked because Joe had this way that was invincible about him. No one thought, he didn't think he was ever going to get hurt, and people just, I guess, believed him.
I mean, I did.
Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah,
I don't know. And then, do you want to talk about the leg, or?
Oh my God, I forgot about your leg.
That was you told me you wanted to talk about that.
I'm so sorry, I completely forgot.
We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
No, I think just when you broke your leg, and you can go into that. But I think the biggest reason I want to talk about it is because of it really changed, and especially you'd only done it not even 6 months after losing Dad, and it almost was like a new part of grief, I think, because it was that not having your spouse when you have this horrible injury.
So you kids wanted to go somewhere for your dad's birthday, and we decided to go to Deer Valley to go skiing. And March 27th, which was Joe's birthday, I was skiing and skiing with some good friends, Anna and Larry, and we were going to the bottom of the hill to sort of end the day. And I was on a green run, sadly. Wasn't doing anything too exciting. I just kind of moved down to the lower part of the run because the upper part was getting a little crowded. And when I made the turn, I went over a mogul that turned into a jump. And of course, I thought I was probably jumping from Mount Everest, but I was probably about 5 inches in the air. Who knows? But anyway, when I landed, I felt my knee pop, and I have to say it hurt, and it hurt bad. And I was like, oh dear, I knew I was in trouble. But I didn't know anything about the knees, so I thought, oh, ACL, I don't know what it is, meniscus. But anyway, the ski patrol came, took me away, and got an ambulance, and got in the ambulance with really cute 30-year-old that were just so nice. And they shot me up with fentanyl, and the pain left immediately. It was so wonderful. I can't even tell you. The pain was gone. And I didn't know anything about fentanyl other than it had been in the news recently. And it did wonders. And we got there, and I thought, oh, I wonder what, little tear, what they're going to do. And the doctor came out immediately when he saw what I have. I didn't have an x-ray. Something else.
I don't know.
CAT scan. Yeah. CAT scan. And said I had to have surgery immediately, otherwise I could lose my leg because something about the blood flow to, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, we'll get right on that one. And did the surgery, put a huge fixator in my leg that is something that's like rods that stick from your thigh to your calf, and it's terrible. And then said I'd have to have another surgery within a week. So another angel, Anita Macbeth, has several homes in Utah and offered us one of hers that was actually right next to hers. And we stayed there for 3 weeks, and she fed us. She waited on us. I mean, it was amazing. She couldn't have been sweeter. She even made me eat my vegetables. So she was worried about me.
That is like pulling teeth.
Not having vegetables. And the place we were in was 5 bedrooms. But my 2 girls insisted on sleeping with me, and I was like, excuse me, you can go to
it was a king bed. It was somehow bigger than a king bed.
Well, because we have California kings, and it was a wider king, but it was a king.
Okay, but one, you can't move, so it's not like you're rolling around in the bed.
Yeah.
But also, this fixator, like you said, it was an external fixator. It was huge. It went from your femur to your calf, and to like get you out of bed if you needed to just get up, wash your hands, go to the bathroom, whatever. Like, we would have to bring your leg around. This thing probably weighed like,
I don't know what it was.
20 pounds.
I felt like every time I got up, just ripped my leg.
God.
Just ripped the skin.
Well, but my biggest fear was you slipping, and like we've said, you're a walking disaster. You're not a graceful person, and you falling forward, and that rod just, making a really bad situation worse. And so I'd hear in the middle of the night, just like you're trying to get up and moving around, and I would, I didn't trust me sleeping in another room. I didn't trust you sleeping in this room by yourself. And so I'm so happy that you complained about that when I was just right there waiting on you, barely sleeping.
I mean, it just seemed like 3 in bed when there was 4 others. Seemed a little ridiculous, but it was great. Another time combined. Bonding.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, that was, felt really fortunate to have Anita. I mean, and Charlie. That was so lucky. Mm-hmm. And then had to have another surgery. Mm-hmm. About a week later, they would take the fixator out and they put pins and needles and God knows what in my leg. I don't know what's in there. It's still there.
Like
Screws and a plate. It called a tibial plateau fracture, right? So I had the other surgery, and I'm going in, and the night before, I dreamed about my mother, which I had not dreamed about my mother at all. I hadn't seen anyone that passed away. I would be walking with friends that had lost his loved ones, and they go, "Bo, there's my son in the birds," or "There's my son in the clouds," or "There's my grandma," or "There's my this," and I'm like, I see nothing. No one has spoken to me. But that night I had a dream that my mom came, and she said, "Oh, everything's going to be okay, and you're going to get through this just fine." And I was like, okay. And
she was still dressed up, like she was.
Oh yeah, but she came dressed up, super dressed up in the dream because my mother was always dressed up, and she was holding the cat that we now have. And I remember, and she goes, "Oh," she told me she was going to be at the hospital. I remember saying, "No, Mom, I woke up like nervous because I'm like, we're in Park City, Mom. You cannot go to the hospital all dressed up like this. You need to find some jeans or something because we're not going in this outfit." But how crazy is that? But anyway, woke up and, realized it was a dream, or, you know what, maybe it was the Oxycontin because I was on a lot of Oxycontin.
Oh, but don't get nervous. She was Googling how addictive is Oxycontin. If I take 5 milligrams, am I going to be addicted? She was like, we'd be like, Mom, like, you need to take one. Like, this was a bad injury. And she'd be like, no, I'm not going to take it. Like,
I was not going to be addicted. There is an opioid crisis that my girls do not understand, and I was not going to be addicted. But anyway, so I was not nervous at all. My daughter even said something like, Taylor said, "Why are you not nervous?" And I go, because I'm going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And I was fine. And so I felt really good doing that. And then about 3 weeks into it, got to go home. And I was non-weight bearing. The doctor said, "You're non-weight bearing for 13 weeks. I didn't even know what non-weight bearing was. I'm like, what in God's name is non-weight bearing?
You're like limping?
I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that you can't put any weight on your leg. I go, oh, that's not going to work. Like, give me a will. I mean, it was,
I have SoulCycle scheduled for 7:30
Yes, I have
Sunday.
to work out and do a few things. But anyway, ended up being non-weight bearing somehow, going to therapy. My kids were wonderful, but I guess the point of the story is that I had to depend on my kids, and that was something that I feared the minute that Joe passed away, because I never wanted to rely on my kids for anything. And here it was, not even 6 months into his death, and I was having to rely on my kids. And as we always said, Joe was a really good caretaker.
He was.
I am not, sadly.
Your wish was his demand.
Yes, exactly. Well, we need something to store, Joe. We need some dinner. He would do it. And so it was a situation that I got in way quicker than I ever had planned to, but my kids really stepped up to the plate, and it turned out I am still in physical therapy 11 months later. Probably need a knee replacement, but
you still have your leg.
Yeah,
you're walking.
Physical therapy, new friends, new place, old friends, whatever. It's, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's,
So the point of the story, be really nice to your kids,
yes.
because we might be in charge of you one day.
Don't get rid of any of your kids, and don't eliminate any of your friends, because you never know when you might need them.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And I can honestly say that I didn't need, I mean, of course, you always need friends, don't get me wrong, but I didn't need any of that until the past year, as far as you guys waiting on me or anything like that. So everything just decided to hit us all at once. So like I said, the only way you can look at it is you got to have some humor.
Yep.
And, be glad. At that point, I was glad I had my leg. I was happy to have my leg, because I actually got a call from a friend that had knew someone that had the same injury and ended up losing their leg, because I kind of didn't really take the doctor very seriously. Like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna lose my legs game. But when I heard that, I went, oh, okay, this is a serious thing. So, just happy that, I can walk and talk and whatever else.
Thank God you can talk.
Thank you, God, I could talk, because what would you do?
Exactly, what would you do?
So,
but yeah,
is that it? Anything else?
I think that's all that we have to talk about. But yeah, I just think the point of this
the
long
point
video,
of this long story,
this whole video is, I mean, you're the guest. It's all about you, but community, people.
Well, it's about the people that we lost, and we'll never replace them. And of course, we're always going to miss them. But you got to find the good things. Yeah. And like I said, lucky for me that I found it in friends and family, and
your daughter,
they were there for me.
Alex.
My other daughter Taylor stepped up, did all the bills for me, and just really set all that up for me, and took care of me a lot when I had the accident. And she loved bossing me around, but whatever. It was
George Jr.
Yeah, we call her George Jr. But anyway, that's the point.
That's our shit. That's your shit.
That's my shit. Mm-hmm. So
you got a lot of it.
I guess apparently I do. Now that I've just rehashed it all, I have more than I realized. But no, it's
we're still lucky.
I'm still lucky. Still lucky to have all my kids, and family and sister and nieces and brother-in-law. And,
yeah, family just keeps on growing.
yeah, just keeps on growing.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yep. Pretty soon you'll be Grandma Bobo. Not pretty soon. There's
Excuse me?
no one in the picture. But just one day.
Have somebody help me?
One day.
Oh, okay.
The one day Grandma Bobo. You know, we're just very lucky for
Mm-hmm.
the things that we do have, and it's important to focus on that and the positives and glass half full. And
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you want to leave it?
I just want to tell everyone I hope they enjoyed this episode. This is everyone's favorite person in the entire world right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't imagine you not listening to this almost 2-hour video.
Oh, Lord, are you kidding me? That's that long. Edit.
Yeah, sorry. The cat's got in a fight, and you had to take about an hour to eat a Tic Tac and get hair out of your mouth. But so I just hope that you'll like this video, like it, subscribe, comment. Were you inspired? What's one of your favorite lines? Leave a review.
Oh, a review. I don't know. I don't think I want those. Well, it's not my podcast.
It's just overall podcast.
Okay.
You need a review, you know.
Okay.
But that was the second episode of Everyone's Got Shit, and I hope that you loved it. I'm sure that it was really hard not just hearing my voice the entire time and just looking at me. But thank you all for listening. If you've made it to this part of the video, I really do appreciate, and thank you to everyone, I'd say, who's been there for us and who has been such a huge part of our lives. And
Yes.
we mentioned a lot of people in this video, and there's many, many more.
Many more that we did not mention, but
yeah, but thank you all. And
if we had another hour.
Yeah, if we had another hour, I guess we could, but
no.
Yeah, we'll cut it off. But thank you all so much for listening. I will catch y'all next time with, maybe some advice or just another guest.
You already have your next guest.
I do have my next guest lined up, and it's going to be a fun one,
It's
people.
going to be a good one.
It is going to be it might be someone who talks even more than me, if you can even believe it. I think so.
For sure faster, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I might have to go in and slow it down.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much, and tune in next time.
Bye.
Bye.